All right, everybody, come on in, come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome back to another Wild Card Wednesday with Maggie and Lucy. If you don't know me, I am Maggie, the substitute teacher. You may know me from my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content, and Lucy and I are the proud founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, which starts this weekend. And tickets, you can still enroll, but it will end as soon as we begin. So if you are a lady or you want to be a lady who wants to learn about elegance, etiquette, femininity, maybe your mom didn't teach you, we would love to teach you as the older women teaching the young. We only do it twice a year, so go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com before that coupon code expires. As our way of giving back, in addition to our private classes, Lucy and I like to come on here twice a week and react to content and give you all our perspective. Lucy has sent another video. So Lucy, please introduce yourself and let us know what are we reacting to tonight.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. Come on in, come on in. So I am Lucy, also known as Lucasely20, and Maggie and I became friends through Kevin Samuels. And through that, we started talking about, some common things that we had. And I have a channel that mostly has content to speak Spanish, to learn Spanish, basic Spanish. But then this year, I decided to change the content to more that's linked more to femininity, elegance, and things that impact women over a certain age. And the reason I shared this video with you, Maggie, was because on one of our live streams, somebody said we should study our men. And this man, his name is Bjorn Andreas Bull Hansen. And he came through my algorithm. You know how the algorithm works. The more you watch things, the more it feeds you those things. And I love him because he focuses on, he writes Viking novels, and he does all of his content, live content, outdoors in Norway. So for me, the beauty of Norway and the beauty, he goes to the beach and he goes to outdoors. He starts making his own coffee while he's sharing things that are a lot that impact men. And for me, it fascinates me to hear men talking about manly things, and it allows me to learn how they see things, how they see the world in their perspective, which is much more different than the female perspective. So again, that's the reason I sent it to you. And this topic is pretty timely because I'm hearing a lot of men going on their own and men being alone. And this is the reason.
All right, everyone. So the video, and I've linked linked the full video in the description, is Why Men Are Alone, the ugly truth women don't want to hear. And little disclaimer, I'm a little bit cheesy. I'm always cheesy, but I am fascinated by Scandinavia. I love to travel. I've been to a lot of places, and on my bucket list is either Norway, Finland, or Sweden. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's just like going back in time in a movie that's just, I don't know, I'm fascinated by it. So we are going to watch the video. I had never heard of Bjorn Anderson before, so this was my first time seeing it, but we'll play the video. It's about 10 minutes in length. We will pause it and give you all our commentary as older women teaching the young. So sit back and let me share my screen, and we are going to learn together. I'm very excited. All right, with sound, let me mute myself.
Onto my local area. It's the middle of the night. I think it's about 4 o'clock in the morning now. The birds are awake. And this is what it looks like. It's the end of June and we are in Norway. So beautiful, right? So I was out here sailing yesterday, just past here, and this is a beautiful, wonderful time of the year. And hopefully you will enjoy the scenery while I talk about this rather difficult topic. Now, to the women watching, please remember that you're going to get a man's perspective. I shouldn't have to say it, but that's what you're going to get here, because as a man, I'm giving you a man's perspective. And the first inconvenient piece of fact, the first inconvenient truth here is that less and less women are seen as attractive. This has
I can't help myself. I'm going to jump in. We're going to get back to it. But first of all, like Lucy said, the scenery, 4 o'clock in the morning and it's bright daylight. I've never been that far north before, so I'm fascinated at the scenery. But I love that he said his disclaimer, and I should have given you all our disclaimer. He said, you're going to hear a man's perspective here. Unapologetic. Welcome to my channel. And I love that there was a time when men were men, and we believe here in traditional gender roles. We believe in husband and wife, mom and dad, man and woman. You are free to do whatever you like, but over here, you'll probably be uncomfortable if you don't. Believe that we are different. Like I always say, not equal, but equally valued. And I just love that he just started off by saying, you're going to hear a man's perspective here. And ladies, I would just say, as women, especially modern women, we think people are supposed to care about our feelings. We think people are supposed to bend the knee and kiss the ring to not offend us. We think everybody's just supposed to stand back and say, oh my goodness, I can't believe that, that hurt you. That's not the real world. And I think, especially if younger women know that nobody's coming to rescue you, I think you'll move a little bit more with your hair on fire, especially hearing from a masculine man. What would you add, Lucy?
And for me, I think it goes back to that emotional intelligence that many women talk about, but many women don't understand what it is. The more you know about men and how noble they are, the more empathy you will have, and the more respect you will have for them, because then you'll understand where they're coming from. So I think that, again, I love that he said, this is a male perspective. To the ladies out there, it's probably going to hurt some of your feelings, but that's how men talk. And I think you shared something with me earlier today, Maggie, that your man said, this is how it is, and that's how it is. And they're very to the point. There's no sugarcoating anything. There's no lengthy explanation for why they do things. This is how it is, and you either take it or you don't.
That is so true. And ladies, that is a wonderful skill if you want a masculine man. All right, let us continue.
has to do with things like obesity. It has to do with things like a very extreme trend when it comes to looks. Several women are now typing things like, I'm sorry you're not getting any, I'm sorry you're such a horrible person, and that you have such a horrible view of women and all of that. Just keep writing that. That's okay. So that's the most sensitive part of the whole thing done with. Even more important, I think, is the attitude that we are seeing.
I got to jump in here again. Ladies, I don't know if you all see or hear what I see and hear. Like Lucy said, we were talking about something offline. I wanted to do something. My man said no. I told Lucy it's a no, full stop. That was it. I think it was 3 words in the response. So I love how when we're watching Bjorn here, he's basically giving you the disclaimer that this is the most sensitive part of the video. There, we're done with it. And I want women, especially younger women, modern women, to realize that's how men communicate. They're not being mean. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't have communication issues. They just choose their words very selectively, and they don't use them if they don't have to. So I think if you understand this is how men are, from young to middle age to older, they're just going to get to the point. If it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings. They're on to the next thing. What would you add, Lucy?
And the beautiful thing is that once you understand that, nothing is going to offend you. You know, we see these women getting offended over little things when, you know, when people really, you know, it's not about you. That's the way they are. That's the way they communicate. They're very efficient in their communication style. Whereas we women, we can take a story and take it from beginning to end and have 5 hours of nothing. So again, and I know, you know what? Because I'm a woman, I know how sometimes I ramble. I was going to post a video yesterday, I think, or Monday. Yeah, on Monday. And I kept rambling and I said, you know what? I'm done. I can't, because I didn't have a point. Why am I posting this? So I gave up. Even I gave up on me. So we're, at least for me, that's how we women do not get to the point as precisely as men do.
All right, let's go back in for more.
Women these days, especially I will say young women, they have a certain attitude. And I think this comes from social media. A woman will post some pictures on Instagram or something like that, and they will have 100 men, I'm using that term in the widest sense possible, men who will write, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, you're so, you know, just throwing compliments at some woman. It kind of props up that woman's self-image in an unhealthy way. What this does is that, and many other people have tried to explain how this works, but you get an unhealthy self-image based on your looks. That's not a good thing, you know. And it also makes these women believe that since they are being complimented on constantly on social media, they should go for the high value men. But the thing with these high value men is that
All right, something else jumped out at me. I see you all in the chat and, love to hear the feedback. I'm not going to call anybody any names, but I do want to talk about what he said pertaining to social media. Don't want to be a hypocrite. We love social media. It is a tool. It can be very useful. We are using social media to get this message to you all, but it is a double-edged sword. And especially Lucy and I are of the age, I'll be 50 next year. We're both older women. We remember a time before social media. I know a lot of young people today, it's been around your whole life. So it is not normal that, the way my man says it, if your kid graduated, you told, your immediate family you had a, cake or something, and that was it. Now it's become normal for everybody to know everything, and then you're getting all these likes. I love the way he said men in the widest sense, or the loosest sense possible. The masculine men that we admire do not look highly upon the men that have been showering you, at your feet. So if you're one of these women that you're used to walking in the door and everybody's tongue is wagging, one day you will meet a real one. Believe me, I do coaching and consults outside of YouTube, and women are stunned when they finally have met their match. And there's a man that's not impressed by that. He's not going to just give you compliments just because you woke up like this. This is not real. So I just want to caution you ladies, if you surround yourself around the men who, your wish is my desire, you're setting yourself up to be unprepared and very confused when you meet a masculine man. What would you add, Lucy?
And it adds to that desire of young women wanting to be validated for anything and everything that they do and they post on their lives. You don't have to post everything that you do throughout your day because really, ultimately nobody cares. You think that you're more special than what you really are. And when you find yourself in real life, life treats you a little differently. Life has a way of making us humble right away. So again, that social media thing about constantly asking for that validation, it, like he said, it could be very detrimental for those women that are already sensitive in that way.
All right, I see you guys in the comments. Let's go back in and then we'll circle back to what you're saying.
They have options. So, yeah, they will pick and choose. And chances are that they will choose a woman who is feminine, healthy, mentally and physically healthy. So if you come there, I mean, with your face covered in piercings and blue hair and all of that, and I'm a strong, independent woman attitude, that high value man, he will probably not be attracted by that. And to those who are provoked by me saying that, I'm just telling you the truth here, okay? And you may not like that, but it is what it is. And anyone with an IQ higher than their shoe number.
Oh my gosh, we got to get back in here. Are you all noticing the shade? Let's talk about, I am in love with how unapologetic he is. Are you all picking up on that? He's basically just telling you and saying it is what it is. Young people, especially, realize, like Lucy said, nobody cares. And once you get to a certain age or you're around people in a certain generation, they're going to give you the so what? Nobody cares. So if you are really thin skinned, if you are used to being, coddled all the time and told you're wonderful and you're perfect, you're going to get your feelings hurt, especially ladies, if you want to be in a relationship with a masculine man. I see what you all are talking about with the social media, but Aaron Laura said, yes, he called out the blue hair. Let's talk about this, ladies. Do what you want to your body. We are in a free country, but men like, everybody has their preferences. Men like what they like, but if you're with a man who likes a woman, he wants a woman to be a woman to him, and it's a primal attraction. So they're attracted to us naturally. Yes, they want us to put effort into it. Yes, they want us to, show up as our best. But I think some of this personal expression, and again, do what you want to, has gone so far that it's repelling the men that a lot of you ladies want. And then you have this attitude where this is how I express myself. This is me. I'm going to pierce every body part. I'm going to color every piece of hair. I may shave some of it off, and you're just going to have to like it. No, he does not. And Bjorn told you, especially if you want a certain caliber of man, he has so many options. So a lot of women find themselves alone because the hill that you had to die on was on your self-expression. I had somebody in my comments today saying, have you ever tried, something else with your hair? And I said, no, my man likes it how it is. Do what you want to, but I think paying attention to what your man wants and getting in line with that, if you want that kind of man, will go very far. They just want you to be yourself. What would you add, Lucy?
Well, and you know how men are looking at assets or liabilities when they see that bright colored hair. They're saying that's a person that wants attention. That's a person that's always want to be looked at. That's a person that wants to be calling everybody's view to her. And men are not like that. Men want that delicate, feminine, soft woman that will call attention just because she's a feminine woman with all her natural being. So again, just remember that type of expression will only attract a man that in the end you're not going to want to be around with.
Yes. Speaking of compliments, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. We had something here from Cheryl. Cheryl says, not sure if it's a dress or a blouse, but it's very pretty. Lucy, you do look like a fairy princess today. Do you want to tell us about, as the kids call it, the fit?
I'm not sure. I got it. It's a dress that I got a long time ago. I was cleaning my closet, and I saw it. It's like, oh, this is a dress. So it's a dress. It's kind of like a more of like a church dress, kind of. It goes a midi dress, but it fits really well. It's very comfortable, and thank you, Cheryl, for the compliment.
All right, so let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Let me just scroll back, and then we're going to go back in and see what Bjorn has to say. I'm just loving his style, because he is basically like, I'm out here in the woods. It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm a Viking. I'm going to say whatever I want to say, watch or don't watch. And I love that. So you all were talking about your social media profiles, princess treatment. I have my own thoughts about that. I will reserve them for later. Gillis is talking about like a kid being spoiled. We do live in that culture, ladies, where kids expect something just for showing up, and I'm not going to go down the whole rant about the participation trophies, but it does turn into an entitlement that men who have had to make themselves, we're watching a man out in the wilderness. He's probably killing his game and roasting it over a fire. I'm making it up. I'm sure he lives a civilized life. The point I'm making is that men have to earn it. And so when you just say, oh, I showed up like this and you're supposed to, serve me, you will just get passed over and be left alone. We talked about the blue hair and any other expressions. Hey, ladies, do whatever you want to do. Nobody's telling you how to dress, how to wear your hair, but just realize if you're not getting the outcomes that you want and you have been so insisting is that this is how I show up. If the man doesn't like it, he has options and he will exercise them. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Jurgen is here. Shout out to our resident Viking. Jurgen says the majority of men want natural women. And it's true, ladies. I always talk about this modern time that we're in. It's wonderful. We've got technology. We've got all of the bells and whistles. That's great. But when you think about the type of relationships that have lasted for decades, for centuries, for thousands of years, not too long ago, we reacted to a video from Rabbi Friedman and, other cultures. And if you come up out of your life and you look around you and you see, oh, okay, the relationships that have lasted forever and ever, it's usually a simple man with a simple woman. Don't try to recreate the wheel here. And Charles D, we've got the men chiming in. He says, facts. Aaron Laura says, women have no problem telling men they don't like when they shave their beards, cut their hair. But if he doesn't like the blue hair, it's the end of the world. All right. All right. Yes, I consider myself a plain Jane too. All right, let's see if there's anything else. The Clue Channel is here for the conservative look. Thank you, Inspired One. Tucker says, real men want a natural woman. We honestly don't care about anything but true beauty, and looks don't make a beauty. Soul and personality does. I think that lasts over time, but we definitely know that men like to have something pretty to look at. Who do we have here? We have Sinji. He says, just dropping by, saying hello. Haven't been on YouTube for a long time. Great to see you guys. On another note, go. If it's football season, we understand mama mentality. Thank you all so much. Yeah, I believe he hunts with his bare hands too. Inspired One says, we're both wife material. Thank you for the compliment. We appreciate that. All right, let's get back into the wilderness with Bjorn and see what else he has to say to hurt our feelings.
Will be able to understand that. I am not saying here that I think we should go back to a time where the woman, she was in the kitchen and she was a servant to the man and she was obedient and all that. No, I'm obviously not saying that. But in this time and age where people get offended on purpose and they misunderstand on purpose, just let me make that very clear. And I want to add that I do believe that a lot of women, they have sort of given up on trying to find a good man, because they, on their side, they will probably see a lot of men as immature, that they're not masculine, that they're still boys. And I think that's a product of modern society as well, a result of things that men are hearing all the time, that masculine qualities are bad and so on. So when that's all you're hearing, then why would you bother? Why would you bother being that masculine guy? Why would you bother? Why would you want that? If you believe in the lies, because those are lies that mainstream media are serving you. And there is also, of course, the legal system, which kind of gives men a bad deal if a relationship, especially a marriage, breaks up. As a man, you're in a difficult position if that happens.
All right, I'm going to jump back in here. I couldn't get away from the beautiful Scandinavian scenery. One day I'll go out there and fish or stand there with a shield and pretend. Did you all hear when he said that people are getting offended on purpose? We are misunderstanding on purpose. I don't know if you all caught that. I love that. Lucy said we have a connection to the late, great Kevin Samuels. And I remember oftentimes when women used to call into his show and they would just come at him, yes, he was polarizing, but you could tell the ones that were just like ready for a fight. And he said, why not try having positive intent? I think he called it assuming positive intent. But people are looking for you to say something that's like, aha, I gotcha. I knew you were a bad person. I knew you didn't like women. I knew you didn't like this, whatever quality. And I always think we're more alike than we are different. But again, his way of just saying, it's a game that you're playing. You know exactly what you're doing and you're looking for something to get offended by. And I'll just say this, if you go out into the world and you're looking for something to be offended by, it will happen every day, every moment of every day. There's something that could offend you. So it's your choice, ladies. But again, the men see through it. And yes, he's going to talk more about some of the reasons why. There's definitely stacked against men, but this whole, masculinity and putting it down, it's not going to fly. Men are not going to change. Believe me. What would you add, Lucy?
No, and the world is getting harder. And if you don't have that group of men that will come and protect you, you're in a lot of trouble. So again, saying that toxic masculinity and all of that stuff, actual masculinity are masculine men that will be the first ones to come out and protect us is bad. We're in, those women that think like that are in a lot of trouble because, again, once they get to a point where they start realizing, oh, maybe it wasn't a good idea that I burnt those bridges with the men, it's going to be too late.
We're going to go back in, but I'm going to ask y'all, and ladies, put it in the chat because we have somebody that's, looking for a relationship. I think we all want to be in a relationship. Lucy and I have marriage and long-term relationship experience. But would you choose a bear or Bjorn? I'm voting for Bjorn. Y'all can put it in the chat. Let's go back in here.
And statistically, that happens quite often. I kind of decided that I wasn't going to even try to get everything right in this video. Because, there are as many angles and perspectives on this as there are people. But I just wanted to add something to the discussion. And I wanted to say that, yes, I understand that there are people, there are men and women who have decided to kind of opt out of the whole thing. And I think that's very sad. And it shouldn't be like that. And I think that we need to get back to how it's supposed to be, you know? We need men to be, to get back to that healthy masculinity. And we need women to get back to that healthy femininity. And I think social media, mainstream media, has made so much damage. It really is unforgivable. When you're watching this video, I will probably be back from a trip to Hungary and Romania, and well, it's part of my job as a novelist. I have to travel sometimes, and when you travel to, especially Eastern Europe, you can clearly see the difference between Western Europe and North America and Eastern Europe.
All right, I just wanted to pause and unpack here, and then we'll get back to our favorite Viking, Bjorn. I really appreciate that he said, even though he has some very strong opinions that I agree with, and he hurts all of our feelings, which is a good thing, he says that we do need each other. We need to get back to the way that it was. And if you all don't realize it, even saying that, men should be, I love that he called it healthy masculinity, right? And women should be feminine. If you don't believe that, that's fine. This isn't the channel for you. But I love that even though he has realized that, women are not as attractive for various reasons that he said, he still wants that, maybe for himself, but he's putting this message out there. So I love that. That's what we're trying to do. We believe, like the late great Kevin Samuel said, we are better together. So if you want a relationship, we're ringing the alarm bell that hopefully, because women, we do control how we show up and the options that we give the men that we want. We can do something about this if we want to. And I love that I saw here, Jürgen says, that's the reason for MGTOW. And I understand. Bjorn said it in the video too. There are some men and women, I heard it this week, not interested. I don't want a man. I don't want to be with anybody. Respectfully, I would disagree. I think we're built for lifelong companionship. I think we are better together. And maybe the exception, but I think the overwhelming majority of us don't want to go home to that dog and die alone. That's just what I would say. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and I like the point that he's going to make in the next section, whereas when you travel, you start seeing the very, very marked differences between Western mindset and any other mindset.
Absolutely. Okay, I see you all in the chat. Let's go back in and hear about his travels, and then we'll come back to the comments.
It's quite a big difference, and there are pros and cons with everything, I guess, but it seems like in Eastern Europe, women have managed to preserve their natural femininity in a much better way. I feel that we're at a place now here in the West where beauty must be mocked. Everything that's beautiful must be ridiculed. And I see it all the time, and I see it in art. I see it in people. I see it in the attitudes of the politically correct. And I see how especially women are influenced by those attitudes. I always say this, we need to connect with nature. Nature is beautiful and brutal, but mostly beautiful. And everything here is as it should be, as it has always been. I like that, And with those words, I will be ending this video. If you're still watching, thank you. Subscribe if you can. It really helps my channel if you do that. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. And
All right. I just loved how calming that video was from the scenery. Definitely Bjorn is not somebody that you want to mess with. I'm sure he can handle himself, but I love how masculine men really have self-control, and you can just tell even through the video. I don't know this man, never met this man, but you can tell when you are around a masculine man. And so ladies, if this is new to you, if you are used to, if you're maybe grew up with a lot of women, or the men that have been in your life have basically, just done everything that you said, that's not who men are. And, I will say that, what Bjorn said about what's happening, it's all around us. He mentioned the art, he mentioned social media, he mentioned some other things. But if you just look at how things are changing right before our eyes, and again, you're free to do whatever you want, it is happening, and unfortunately, those who don't have any other message are buying into it and thinking it's always been like this. So we are here to tell you it hasn't always been like this. And I will raise my hand to say it may get worse before it gets better, but I do think a change is coming. We just can't keep, excusing everything and doing everything, and I just think it won't. I will say one thing. Thank you all for explaining this to Killis, because there are some phrases that you don't want to say on social media because of some of the changes. You can get banned or striked or whatever. But I will just say this. There are, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, some men who have just given up, intentionally saying, you know what, it's not worth it. Modern women are not worth it. Jurgen had a comment in here about his opinions, but iceberg right ahead, right ahead, ladies. It's not looking good for those of us who want traditional relationships. So we're going to have to know what we're up against. It's not over, but we're really going to have to overperform, because the reputation that precedes us is not a good one. What would you add, Lucy?
And I think it's time for these young ladies to start looking at environments, relationships that have that you see are goals. If you see a marriage that has lasted for a while and they have a stable relationship, they have a stable family environment, those are things that you need to be more connected to, rather than the chaos. Because again, you become the product of all the things that you surround yourself with. So again, be very selective about the environments that you want to be in, because again, you could meet a person that's part of that environment that you want to be your future spouse. So again, and I feel sad because I think, who was it that said that men had already checked out, and who was it? Hold on. Bill Age said, "Ladies, the days of men coming along and swooping a woman and making her his wife has long passed. But most men want women that need them. It used to be for the woman to supplement the man." And I agree, but then again, I see here, even in the most liberal California, I see people getting married. So it's not all lost. So my, it's family members and stuff. When we're together, what we do is we talk about the benefits and the good things that it is to have that stable relationship and to go it the long way. You are going to have ups and downs like every relationship, but what better way to learn how to live your life than that person that's next to you, even when things are good and things are bad.
Absolutely. It's so important. I see this comment here from, is it Braseda? Thank you so much for being here. She says, I don't know what healthy masculinity is. And that just breaks my heart. And, Lucy and I are both immigrants. We come from traditional nuclear families, and ladies, especially modern women, this is just how most of us outside of Western culture are raised. And so if you think, if you accept the fact that you're going to have to compete for the man that you want, realize that a lot of us are starting behind. If you didn't see that example, you're like a fish out of water. And when you meet a man who gives you an answer and it's 2 words, and he's not going to repeat himself and he's not going to apologize for it, you're going to think something is wrong. You're going to call him toxic. You're going to say he's controlling, all of those things. So I remember the late, great Kevin Samuel said that we don't understand men. And it could be because we are not around them. I have a lot of strong men in my family, but if this is foreign to you, ladies, you're going to have to seek it out because these men exist. Look at Bjorn. He's out in the wilderness. If Lucy didn't send him my way, I would never come across, our favorite Viking. But I think it's a great reminder that there are still masculine men, stoic men, strong men, unapologetic men. They're in our community watching and protecting us all the time. All right, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. And I did drop the link. I was rushed the last time, but I have time if you all want to chat with us. You can be camera on or camera off. And yes, Bill says, the days of men coming along and swooping a woman and making her his wife has long passed. But most men want women that need them. That's a big one for us professional women. If you think you're a boss babe and nobody can't do anything for you, you'll just find yourself alone. And it used to be the norm for the woman to supplement or support the man. That is so true. Let's see what else you all are saying here. Y'all are talking about travel. And the Clue Channel says the Midwestern states are very different. I will say this. Obviously, we have.
Point.
I'm sorry?
Oh, sorry. Good point.
No, yeah, absolutely. I would say this. We know there are men that are willing to travel overseas to get what they want. Totally fine. But I love that, like, even in this country or any country, there still are pockets of women that were raised to appreciate men, to admire men, to want to be supportive of men. And ladies, one thing about social media or this connected world that we live in, it has made the world a lot smaller. If you grew up in a small town like me where there were 2 high schools, you kind of like everybody knew everybody. But now that we're all connected, your competition is not just citywide, it could be countrywide, even worldwide. So I think Kevin Samuels or somebody said, you're not just competing with the women that you see, you're competing with the women that he sees. So you have to realize that the world is open. And if a man wants something in particular, look at Bjorn. Please tell me you are going to wrestle him to the ground and say, get out of Norway. I want this McMansion in a cul-de-sac. No. If you want to be Mrs. Bjorn, you're going to adjust to his lifestyle. A masculine man is not going to bend to yours. What would you add, Lucy?
And even if you throw temper tantrums, even if you try to do everything, emotionally manipulate a man, a masculine man is going to say, okay, well, next. Because again, they will not take on that entitlement behavior because they would rather be alone. Again, men can do, when you put men together, they can find a way to enjoy their time together without women getting in between. I think that I heard about this woman that tried to do a dating, tried to do like a dating event at a fishing, and kind of like a fishing retreat, and no man showed up. And one of the things I said was, a man is not going to want a woman cramping their area where they're trying to fish to be left alone, because again, ultimately, men like to be left alone. My husband, he can spend time in his studio watching his TV. I can be on my own. We say hello, hi baby. We have some little bits of conversations, but they're not gonna want to be having somebody to talk to them about their every second of the day that happened, because that's not who they are. So again, if you want a masculine man, understand that they are very selective about their environment, about their communication style, about the woman they want.
So true. And we'll wait until they find her. You all are not going to rush them. I still deal with modern women who think it's on your timeline. Believe me, it is not. Or, like the rabbi said, you could be the husband, you can buy the ring, you can propose, you can find someone to get on your program. Ladies, we know that's not what we want. And this reminds me, I'm going to come back through the comments. This reminds me of something, what Lucy just said about us cramping a man's space. And again, I'm not trying to take us back to, any previous time, but I remember listening to Psych Hacks in an interview, and we've reacted to some of his content. And he said, men and women today in modern times, we spend too much time together. So a lot of women falsely believe that a man is supposed to be your permanent plus one. He's supposed to be your therapist, your best friend, your soulmate, your husband, your bank account, all of that. If you go back a generation or two, and again, people have been doing marriage and relationships a lot longer than this little time that we live in. The men would be with the men. Maybe it was the hunting party. Maybe it was, whatever they went out to do. The women would be with the women. And then the couples would connect, in the evening or at social gatherings. But this going to school together, working together. And I'm not saying change any of it, but I'm just trying to emphasize the point, like Lucy said, at their core, a masculine man wants his peace, requires his peace, and he's not going to let us women come in with all of our chaos and disrupt that. Look at Bjorn. Charles says the rules that govern our society between genders have changed, but that change is not working. Masculine men and traditional women are not adapting to the change. Shout out to you, Charles. That's why we're here. We may be few and the others may be louder, and that's fine. But just know there still are those of us who this is who we are, and we're not going to change. All right, let's see what else you all are saying. Yeah, the Western mindset has a lot more of the infiltrating. And, we love where we live and all of the benefits, but just be aware, ladies, be aware. The world is quite large. Thank you so much for that, Charles D. Aaron Laura is talking about, people who criticize tradition. There's a lot of, how do you say, wrong ideas about it. People like Lucy said that have been together for decades, they've been through ups and downs, but those are the strongest relationships, in my opinion. And Gillis is saying, yes, pardon me, I love being around men that immediately make me feel okay. Notice that, ladies? Even if there's nothing wrong or any danger, although good guys I haven't had, your exes didn't make you feel that safe. But it's so true. And I love this because when I say it's primal, we are wired differently. That's part of our natural makeup. When a masculine man walks into the room, into the space, you instantly feel like, okay, I can just sit back because this is going to be handled. Ladies, the same thing happens to men. When a feminine woman comes into their presence, they immediately feel like she should be protected. She should be cared for. It's who we are. You can fight it. You can say whatever you can do, I can do better. Good luck with that. Let me see if there's anything else. I'm just scrolling down. Thank you all so much. Yes, absolutely. No, you all know what a good man is. Believe me. Yes, our favorite Viking. Oh, I said your name correctly. Wonderful. All right, more men in the chat. Mr. Nemhard says, we as men were taught how to treat women. However, we were never taught what to expect in return. Women seem to have been taught what to expect and not what to offer. Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Nemhard. This is something that we can definitely do better at. Yeah, I see this, that entitlement that women just think because we're supposed to receive. We have to earn it, just like men have to earn it. And I always say I don't feel like I have a place to tell men what to do because who am I? But I have told the boys as a boy mom, if she does not admire you, if she does not respect you, if she does not appreciate you, cut your losses and find someone who does. Absolutely. What would you add, Lucy?
I love that comment. It's so true. We as men were taught how to treat women. However, we were never taught what to expect in return. That part. Women, but I think it's because back then, we women knew exactly what to give in return to our men. Women seem to have been taught what to expect and not what to offer. And I think that's exactly how modern society is crumbling because, again, the what is biological, what comes within us, has been suppressed by design, and now, Western society is chaos because we don't know what our roles are because it's been just completely taken. It's gone out of control. So again, it's time to go back to the basics. Usually, the basics work, and then we start um, relearning what we already have inside of us to be able to give it to our men.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at you all's comments. There's one that I want to respond to, and then we will close it out. Oh my goodness, yeah. Men have so much to risk in relationships. So that's why it's so important, ladies, that we show up and present ourselves as a good option because men are, how do you say, they're vetting us. They have a lot to risk. They're, a little bit hesitant because we've asked for it. And here we are getting what we asked for. And Rodney says masculine men are not looking for partners. I saw one other thing from Brasida. We'll close out on this. She says, any tips on looking for a healthy masculine man? Where do I find them? So the premise of the question means that you are the one looking. And I would offer, as feminine women, we need to do less and be more. One of the things, if you're new to this space, you will know that men are always watching. And unfortunately for us, because we think it begins when we see them, that's a masculine trait to be the conqueror. That's not how this works. Men are drawn to feminine women. So if you want a masculine man, you have to be a feminine woman consistently because they will see you and they will wait for consistency. And what my man told me this week, because I have a woman who's trying to rush it, she wasted her years and now she's trying to rush it. There are no shortcuts. And so a man's vetting process is his vetting process. His timeline is his timeline. If you met him at 24 or 34 or 44, he's not going to rush just because your hair is on fire. So that's why we come here to tell the younger ladies, if a relationship is important to you today, prioritize it. And shout out to the finishing school. Again, we only teach it twice a year, but if you did not get this teaching growing up, Lucy and I do have a course. It's a privately taught Zoom. We start this weekend where we teach ladies how to be the best version of themselves. It's open to ladies 18 to 60 plus, and it really is the foundation so that you can start showing up differently, because if you have not been approached by the type of masculine man that you want, you have disqualified yourself either knowingly or unknowingly. I don't know if you were blue-haired and pierced and saying he's just going to have to take this and love it, and he said no, or you're doing things that are not drawing masculine men to you. So if you don't know what that is, maybe we can help you, but that's what I would add. What would you say to close us out, Lucy?
Thank you for the chat, for just being engaged. I love that a lot of the men are giving us their feedback, and again, that's where we women, we learn from them, and we study them by the information they give us. Aaron, Laura, thank you so much for adding all those links for the femininity. A great moderator, number one in this chat, and yeah, I hope that you liked this topic, because it's time for us women to start respecting and appreciating what the men have done for us and the world that they have built for us. And it's time to stop with the nonsense of being entitled and thinking that you're a princess just because you're a woman. It doesn't happen that way. You are a woman, and that the men are watching you, and they're going to watch for those specific values that they think is going to be an asset to their marriage or relationship.
All right, absolutely. So again, you can go to teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. The finishing school starts this weekend, so Lucy and I will not be streaming this weekend. We're usually here for you all Wednesdays and Saturdays, so we will be back next week, probably with another rabbi post to respond to. Very excited about that. But yes, ladies, for those of you all who want a different outcome, you're going to have to seek it out. You're going to have to put the same level of effort that you put into the other things that you've prioritized, because you've prioritized something. We can't just sit on our hands and say, okay, I'm going to wish upon a star and the man of my dreams is going to come tap me on the head. It's not going to work that way. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you, Lucy, for sending our favorite Viking to us. I enjoyed the scenery, and I enjoyed reacting to this. So we will see you all next week. Again, teachablemomentswithmaggie.com. Join the finishing school, and we can't wait to teach you more privately. Yes, absolutely. Thank you all so much. Until next time, we always say,
Adios.
adios.